And I know you guys like to use data, like actual data, because you said mental health is good for business, which it is.
Yeah.
But my question to you is, how effective has using the data been? Because I look at it on, like, let's say we have a guy who's a company who's like 50% there, 50% convinced about mental health. In your experience, has the data been enough to like push them over when you show them actual like numbers, or is it there's still another step that we need to take after showing you that number?
Yeah, everybody, from a statistics perspective, from a, data perspective, the more the merrier. So
Sure.
if you've got case studies coming out your ears, if you've got stats based on, populations of thousands of people, case studies like businesses that are the same as theirs, people will obviously a lot more easily buy into this. So there's not enough, and we're kind of working on that. Also, from like a research perspective, there's still not enough research that's regionally like based. There's lots of kind of
That's true, yeah.
There's a really important study that Deloitte did on the return on investment, organizations that are investing in mental health, but it's all based on organizations in the UK, and then lots of studies based on the US. So when it comes to here, we need to give people as little get out clauses as possible. Say, oh, well, that's in the UK, that's not us. That's the US, that doesn't represent us. And we need to be conducting that research here to be able to say, this is what's happening, this is our plan of action, our methodology, these are the results, you're going to be one of those results too. Would you like to get involved? So we do, at this point in time, and actually the other thing is everything's changed, so even if we did have research, what I'm looking for now to put like storytelling together is research that has been released in the past, weeks. Puts into consideration a ridiculously traumatic event that everybody's just experienced for a ridiculously long amount of time. So, we don't have the numbers. So sometimes we require a little bit of faith. And I think it is, and this was like along the like-minded people, I don't want to waste my time convincing people that this is the right thing to do. People need to come a little bit closer to us and understand, for whatever reason, even if it is just financial bottom line reasons, or their competitors doing it so they want to do it too, or the reputation of their company through their employees' eyes is terrible, so they want to give them something to do. Okay, let's start there, guys. But the key thing is that whatever we're doing is not a band-aid. This is a long-term strategy. This is a slow burner. This is not going to be a magic wand that we wave overnight. So come with realistic expectations as well. Have the vision, do your research, and then, it is going to be those more forward-thinking leaders that are going to be the ones that implement this in their organizations.
Yeah.
And that's the people that we want to play with for now. And we show that it works. We get more data. We prove it. And more people can kind of come and join the party.
Yeah. It's like a building block effect. And what you said about like having, do you think, I think the point you mentioned that we need data about here. I think that's very important, because I don't think there is data available about that. You would know more. That's your space.
Bits.
Yeah, but it's not something specific. But I know you guys actually do surveys, right? Or like assessments that you like send out to companies. So is there anything from the data that you guys have gathered or the feedback that kind of surprised you? Or is there an area that like people seem to be a lot more drawn towards?
It's not surprising, I suppose. Like really the key to our audit is to measure the psychological safety within teams. So we're talking about, is there trust? Is there communication? Is there, can you be vulnerable? Can you talk about your mental health? Just for us to understand the lay of the land. Sometimes it will kind of come up in those situations where, as much as the manager who sits on his kind of throne believes that everybody trusts, there's been a break of trust, even if it's between HR and the employees, once in a blue, many moons ago, and people can't get over that. But sometimes it's not even what's happened in that organization. It's where people have been in the past. And I think because like turnover is a lot higher than it used to be, our generation, we move around because we're searching for, the dream job. And even if we've worked at a company down the road where our HR manager screwed us over, we come into our new job
with
potentially
that baggage.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it's difficult for us to really just, look at one organization as a little island, because there's lots of stuff that's kind of happening around that. So like some of the key indicators that we kind of put in there but didn't realize how powerful it would be is reputation. So one of the questions in our audit is, how positively do you speak about your work, your colleagues and your management outside of work? And, you know, we all gossip. We all have a little bit of a, you know, a rant now and then to get it off our chest. But I think that is something from a managerial perspective where it really kind of transforms. I think even these sort of things that you would think would be actually more higher up on their pecking order of like trust and communication, if people are speaking badly about it, it hits the core somewhere different, where they're like, oh, right, okay, yeah, we need to address this because this is not good, you know, for business. This is not what my aspirations were for being, you know, a company owner. And then I think the other key thing is about how, like, the honesty around mental health. We ask a question, if you took days off due to your mental health, or you've been unproductive due to your mental health, were you transparent about the reason with your line manager? And even like some companies that do have like mental health policies, like mental health days in place, still have people that can't be truthful about it. And again, I think that's not the island of the organization, it's the world island that we live on. That people still you know, are in a place where they, you know, it would be easy to say I've got a migraine, then, you know, the wheels are falling off and I just need a day to get myself back together. So I think what we've been through recently has really personified that, because at the moment nobody wants to be the weakest link. There's so much uncertainty in, you know, jobs, that if somebody says, actually I'm struggling with stress and anxiety, or I've been having therapy, or I'm on medication now, and they really don't have full trust in the process that that's not going to go against them as being a weak link, because we still have this underlying concept that somebody who is stressed, anxious, you know, medicated, you know, in therapy is not as functioning as somebody else. When, you know, I can challenge that. I'm in therapy, I'm medicated with supplements, but, you know, I am going to be a better employee than anybody who's denying themselves that kind of fact in order to be able to just show up at their job. So it needs that bit of imagination, I think, from an open-mindedness from employers to really be able to, again, go a little bit deeper and further with that and get the right people for the job.
I think there's so many good points there. First of all, something I never considered, and I've been reflecting on it myself as we've been speaking, is the baggage that you carry. And that is something that I know I have, but I've never thought of it in that way. Like, for example, like the corporate world for me is, I had, you know, an experience there, and I said after that, I'm like, I never need to be there again. You know, I'd rather work at a startup for the rest of my life if I have to. But I never thought of it in that way until just now, that, oh, this is baggage I'm carrying. I thought, now this is just a perception I have. I never looked at it as baggage. So that's really interesting. And I think the point you mentioned about not looking at it, you can't look at it as an island. You have to really look at the bigger picture in order to understand what's happening on that island. There's a lot more that goes into, oh, this is just this company that's doing this or whatever. And one thing you said, which I think is priceless, is reputation. I don't know how many people I could speak to, honestly, that could look at it kind of be like, yeah, that's good. Whether you're working there or have left, I don't think many people can say that. And that's a shame, because, again, we spend, I don't know, most of our lives at work. I don't know what the statistic is, but I know it's a lot of our time at work anyway. So if you're in that environment, you're not feeling too good, like all these things are playing into it. It's just not a good way to, like, I think, go about it yourself or for the business.